All right, welcome back to the Find Your 20 Coaching Insights Show. I'm your host, Mark Sieberkrop. And if you're a business owner who's looking to have more focus, more profits, and more time, then as always, you're in the right place, because this is the show where I share my top insights from recent coaching sessions that I had with my clients to help you throw out the 80% that's holding you back so that you can build a business that you actually love owning and a lifestyle that you're excited about. But before we get started today, I want to share with you today's featured resource. Today's featured resource is one that I've shared before, but it's something that I'm promoting and sharing with my audience at this time. So I wanted to share it with you too, which is the Hidden 20 Audio Mastermind. The Hidden 20 Audio Mastermind is daily content for you of what's happening in my business. So think of like, if I was able to take the things that I share with you weekly in this podcast, but share them with you every single day. Some of them make them into this weekly podcast, but a lot of them don't. And the only people that see them are my Audio Mastermind members. As a matter of fact, I should have pulled these up before, but I had a couple people, I asked a couple of my current Audio Mastermind members to share with me what their thoughts were on it and give a testimonial. So I wanted to share one of these with you. Let's see, where is it? Here we are. So John said, the Hidden 20 podcast is one of the best investments I've made. Mark is a world-class coach, and having access to his thoughts and insights for $5 a month almost seems like I'm stealing from him. He definitely gives 100x the value with the Hidden 20 podcast. And I love that. I love that because that's really what I try to do. I try to give a ton of value, whether it's sharing something that a conversation I had with a coaching client that day, or it's like my behind the scenes, how I'm going to run a promotion that's coming up, which I did just recently. I shared how I was going to do the promotion for the Hidden 20. I'm as I'm recording this, I'm finishing up a promotion for my audience where they had access to this for a week. And so whether it's talking through that and how I'm going to do that and why I'm going to do certain things and what I'm going to do for the offer and what I'm going to do for bonuses and what the page is going to look like, all of those types of things are things that I share in the Hidden 20 Audio Mastermind. And I would love for you to be a part of it. So if you're interested in learning more, go to findyour20.com/hidden 20 to learn more about the Hidden 20 Audio Mastermind. And I'll actually pay you to try it out for a month. I'll actually pay you to try it out for a month. So go there. You can learn all about that, how that works, and find more about the Hidden 20 Audio Mastermind. And you can see all of my recommended resources by going to findyour20.com/my best resources. And today I want to share with you 3 tips. The first one is to document everything you're doing. When you're doing something, find a way to document it because people will care. In our society today, behind the scenes, documentaries, reality shows, everybody wants to see what it's like behind the scenes. And that's one of the reasons that I do the Hidden 20 Audio Mastermind, is to give people behind the scenes access, to share the things that I'm not sharing publicly, to share the things that are happening that day. And I want to encourage you to find a way to do that, whether it's writing it down, whether it's video, whether it's audio, find a way to document the things you're doing. I was talking to a client this past week and I told her that she was talking about doing intensives for her business. So one day intensives, she's going to go to different towns and she's going to teach the things that she helps her clients with. And she's going to invite people to come to it. And I said, while you're doing that, make sure you record it. Make sure you have a camera in the back. I said, because the way you describe something will be different than you've ever described it for. Someone will ask a question that will be different than you've ever been asked before. And because of that, you'll give a different answer. So recording that information is vital to having better ideas, to creating new content, and to having things that people can have access to that nobody else has access to. That's the value of documenting the things that you're doing. I was talking to, I think it was that client, and I said, I mean, if you look at Gary Vaynerchuk's content, that's what he does. I'm fairly positive. Literally, he just hires somebody to follow him around with a phone, recording what he says, the questions he's asked, the answers he gives, and he uses that as content. And that is a very, very smart way to create content. It's also a great way to capture the things that you don't necessarily have documented already, but you still teach. You know, one of the things I found is when I was doing a lot of podcasts for my book, Find Your 20, that's when I learned some of the things that I now say all the time. As a matter of fact, one of the things that I say at the beginning of this podcast, so you can have a business that you love owning and a lifestyle you're excited about. I had never thought of that before until I was on a podcast and I was interviewed and I shared some version of that. And then I shared a different version in the next podcast. And sooner or later, it became something that I say because it encapsulates what I want this book and this podcast and my business to be about. And that only happens if you capture those things, if you document what you're doing, if you record either audio or video, if you write down, whatever you can do, document what you're doing. It will be a treasure trove of information later down the road, maybe next week, maybe next month, maybe next year, but it will be massively valuable to you. So number two is I was talking to a client and she was talking about hiring and a person on her team that she had put in a position. They were feeling a little overwhelmed. She was trying to decide, should I hire somebody now to take over some of that stuff? Should I wait and see if this person's able to get the hang of it and do it? And so we talked through it and we asked some questions. And what we came down to is sometimes wait and see is the right decision. Sometimes consciously deciding not to do anything is the right decision. And in this case with this client, it was the right decision to wait and see how her team member fills in those tasks, how they, if they're able to get up to speed. And the question I asked was, if you wait until say the beginning of the year, will you have enough time to make that decision then? And my client said, yeah, I could still make that decision if I needed to hire somebody at that point. And so we came to the conclusion that it was best to wait and see. And in our businesses, sometimes wait and see is the right decision. Now, I'm not talking about being lazy or putting off things or avoiding things. It's a conscious decision to wait and see. When you make a conscious decision to wait and see, that is an active decision, even though you're not doing anything. You actively decided that you were going to wait until a certain time point and then make a decision if you needed to make that decision then. So my encouragement is to make an active decision to wait and see when it's the right decision and have an endpoint and decide at that point, say, and on this day, we're going to make a decision. We're going to see how things work in between, and then we're going to make a decision on this day. Sometimes wait and see is the right decision. And the final thing I want to talk about is I was talking with a client about her call to action and how she was inviting people into her program. And we talked about the power of silence. And there's huge, huge power in being silent, whether it's in coaching or whether it's in sales. Being silent is an indication of being in control, of being confident, and knowing what's going on. So let me talk about this in a few different ways. As a matter of fact, as you listen to that, I'm sure if you were listening, you stopped because all of a sudden there wasn't any sound. Like, wait, is everything working okay? And then I started talking again. It captures attention. When we talk about sales, when we're inviting somebody to join a program, I love what Zig Ziglar said. Zig said, once you make the offer, don't say a word because the next person that speaks is going to buy something. Either the prospect is going to buy or the salesperson is going to buy a no by speaking. So when you're in sales, make the offer. There's confidence that comes. And where this came from was we were talking about, she said, some people say that I should just say, well, my product's $10,000. And I said, yeah, you should, because that indicates confidence. What we typically try to do is we're unsure, we're not quite confident in it. And so we try to fill it and we try to convince. And nobody likes to be convinced. Nobody likes to feel like they're being sold. So if I say, and my product is $10,000, and really with that, you get this and you get this and you get this, that's a different feeling than if you just say, and the investment is $10,000. And you just wait to see what they say. Now on a webinar, you can't necessarily just wait to see what people say, but having that pause, having that silence exudes confidence. I do the same thing in coaching. A lot of times we're scared and we want to fill that space. I'll ask somebody a question and then they won't say anything right away. And I'll like rephrase the question or I'll ask a different question. And if I do that, I miss out on an opportunity for them to think and them to sit with that thought or that question and make a decision on how they want to respond. It's a hard thing to do, but if you practice it, it can be extremely valuable. There's huge power in silence. There's confidence in silence. Using silence effectively and efficiently can completely change your interactions with everybody that you interact with. And you can use this in your business. You can use it with your clients. You can use it with your team. You can use it with your family. You can use it with your friends. It's amazing how many times I can use this with my kids. It's funny, with kids, it's kind of fun because they'll say something and I'll just sit and look at them. And sooner or later, my daughter will be like, "What? Why are you staring at me?" I was just listening. But it's interesting how that changes things. So today we talked about the importance of documenting everything you're doing. We talked about how sometimes the wait and see approach is the right decision if you actively make that decision. And we also talked about the power of silence in coaching and in sales. I'm grateful that you're here. Thank you for listening. This is going live on Halloween. So if you're listening to this on Halloween, happy Halloween. I've got an amazing costume that I'm excited for tonight with my kids. And it's going to be awesome. So hopefully you have a great Halloween. If you have kids, you get to enjoy that with them and have that fun. But I want to thank you for listening. And if you haven't yet, make sure you grab a copy of my book, Find Your 20, by going to findyour20.com/grab your copy. And I'll get one dropped into the mail to you ASAP. As a matter of fact, I just mailed one yesterday out to somebody, and I'm super excited for them to get it and to dig into it. And I'm looking forward to sending one to you. If you haven't got a copy of the book, please grab a copy. Findyour20.com/grab your copy. And also, if you can, please leave a rating and review. I mentioned last week that I'm entering people into a drawing that leave a rating and review to get a copy of my friend Ray Edwards' book, Permission to Prosper. You can do that if you leave a rating and review. Email me at mark@findyour20.com before November 1st, and you'll be entered into a drawing to get that book. I'll mail it out to you. I'll cover the shipping just to get reviews for the podcast. So thank you so much for being here, and get out there and chase your 20.